Hey there! Bob Rodriguez, Constant Gardener. Welcome to the OCG Fam Show. To you, my YouTube buddies, what's going on? Let me know in the comments. We'll talk about it at the show, but right now it's just windy one day. Let's just get into the show. So, parts per million, or EC, using slurry test to measure how much nutrients, how many salts, how much salts are in your soil, and using that as a measure to see if you are giving too much or not enough food to your plants. We've talked about this a bunch, but I found an ancient old clip of Scott talking about this where he really gets into it and goes into it in depth in a very concise sort of way. And I think it's a brilliant clip, and I'd like you to watch it, and I'll talk to you after.
Why is it important to reach and maintain the 300 to 500 ppm range for running Nectar?
It's an interesting question, and it's not a bad question. I think it's misled.
Okay.
There is no reaching 3 to 500.
Okay.
Ideally, we see most people are in like the 7 to 900 range in their soils, and that's the issue. So we try to get down to 3 to 500 in most cases.
Okay.
Now, if your plants are super hungry, they're consuming, they're eating everything you're giving them, everything's healthy, and you're maintaining that 3 to 500, that's the ideal. I mean, that's what we want to see. And by that meaning, if I'm in the last week of veg, I've mixed up the whole program. I'm looking at 1,200 parts per million in my reservoir, and I feed them. 2 days later, I go in there and they're 3 to 350. That means they ate everything I gave them, and they're happy about it. Now, if I fed that 1,500 parts per million on Monday, and then I go in there on Wednesday, and it's literally 900, something is not being consumed. Something's going on in the root zone. Now I want to investigate why is it climbing. The downfall of it climbing is now the pH is going to start to become an issue, because once the nutrition stops going in, pH starts to go out of whack, and we find ourselves in trouble by either a salt buildup, an acid drift, an alkalinity drift. Depends on where we're at in the feeding schedule. So, reaching 3 to 5, not necessarily. Now, if you've not fed your plants, you feed them once a week, and you started your soil at 400, and then at the end of the week you're at 100, you're not feeding them enough, and they're going to be starving. So the critical piece there is 3 to 5 tells me that the plants are always eating something, and they're comfortable. If it goes below 300, they want more. They're eating everything and then some. If they go below 200, then you're starving.
Okay. What do you think? Informative, entertaining, helpful, agree, disagree, questions, comments, thoughts? Throw them in the comments and we'll talk about it. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. The OCG Fam Show. It's pretty good. Happens every day. It's the OCG Fam Show. See you tomorrow.